Hey, Nick Digilio here. How's it going? My podcast starts in a couple of weeks at the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. You can subscribe to that, and that'll be coming up in a couple of weeks. Check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/NickDShow. Donate, pick a tier, and make a monthly donation, and it'll help to keep videos going and content going, and it'll help me out a lot, and also get you some exclusive videos that nobody else will get unless you're a patron, and that includes the story behind what happened over a certain radio station, WGN, and you can find that out as well. And thanks for checking out my YouTube channel. Okay, I did not cut a video or post a video after I watched Don't Look Up. Don't Look Up is this latest Adam McKay film with an all-star cast of, obviously Jennifer Lawrence, Leonardo DiCaprio, Meryl Streep, Cate Blanchett, Jonah Hill. It just goes on. The cast is unbelievable. And I wasn't going to post anything about it because I watched it and I thought it was shit. And I was like, whatever. I'm not going to post anything about it. But it's become this thing now. Don't Look Up has become this thing where it is all over social media and Facebook and Twitter and all over the internet and all that stuff. And it's become sort of a phenomenon. It's the biggest thing on Netflix right now. It's on Netflix if you're looking. It played the theaters for a few days, and then it ended up. It's on Netflix now. And it's like the highest rated thing on Netflix right now. And I was just going to say, I saw it and I thought it was shit and I wasn't going to really talk about it. But then it's become this huge thing on social media. And the most interesting thing is, because I thought it sucked. I thought it was shit. I thought it was heavy-handed, simplistic, bullshit, ham-fisted, not good satire at all. It sucks. The movie sucks. And I thought that was blatantly obvious. But suddenly, this movie has become one of the most divisive movies that I've seen, talked about in a long, long time. And not just divisive in any kind of terms, but divisive among people that I know, among the circles of friends that I hang out with, or know at least. Don't hang out with a lot of people now because of, what's happening in the world. But people who have similar tastes that I have, similar backgrounds that I have. Some of those people that I fall into the category love this movie. They love it. And others hate it. And again, these are people who we don't necessarily disagree this much on a movie. For the most part, we have similar tastes, similar styles. We like the same kind of comedy. We like the same kind of satire. We're kind of in that same sort of circle. But this movie has split a lot of us apart. And I don't know anybody who thinks it's okay. Either you love it or you hate it. I fall into the camp of fucking hating it. I hated Don't Look Up. And it's mind-boggling to me that anybody, especially people that I know and respect, who I share a lot of taste with, would even find this movie remotely intelligent or interesting or fucking funny or incisive in any way. So I'm fascinated by it. I'm not going to watch it again. Normally I would go back and watch a movie a second time. I did that with Silence of the Lambs. When Silence of the Lambs came out, and so many of my friends and people that I respect loved it, I went back and I went to see it a couple of more times, trying to wrap my mind around it, and it never worked. I will not waste another fucking moment watching any millisecond from Don't Look Up again. So I'm just going to cut this thing. Now, Adam McKay is the guy behind it. And Adam McKay is a guy that I used to love, that I used to think was fantastic, that I hung in the same circles with years ago. Adam McKay came to Chicago and busted into the improv world in Chicago in a big way. He trained with Del Close. I trained with Del Close. He went to Improv Olympic. I worked at Improv Olympic for a while. He trained at Second City, and then he went into Second City, went onto the ETC stage, and also did a pretty important, he was part of a pretty important main stage show called Pinata Full of Bees. He helped form the Upright Citizens Brigade. So he's got a lot of Chicago connection here, and with people that like Tina Fey and Rachel Dratch and all these people were around Second City, ETC main stage training. He did Trainco for a while. He was on Tourco. Tourco for a while, and he toured with Second City, and he was part of sort of a renaissance period of Second City, where they brought in guys like Mick Napier to direct reviews. There was a period of time at Second City when it sort of like became substandard. It was just by rote. The reviews were all pretty much the same. It got kind of it got into this stale sort of wheel that they would do over and over again. They were doing the same kind of thing. The reviews were very, very similar. They all had wacky 2-word titles, like here's the title, it's a pun, or here's another title, it's a pun. And they got into this rut at Second City, and they shook it up. They went in and they shook it up a little bit, bringing in people like Mick Napier and hiring a bunch of people who were a little edgier. And one of those guys that they brought in was Adam McKay. And the first really radical sort of review that they did was this thing called Pinata Full of Bees, which didn't have a second title, and that was like earth-shattering. And it became this very successful, and it was a terrific review. It was a mid-'90s review, and that's sort of when Second City came back from the doldrums. You know, it was like, what are you doing? Well, we're going down to Wells Street. We're going to watch the review, blah, blah, blah. And it became this thing that you did, that tourists did. But then they came back. And again, Second City over the years has ebbs and flows, okay? And Adam McKay was part of that comeback in that sketch. I mean, not that sketch, that review, Pinata Full of Bees, which was directed by Mick Napier. And then he went on to successfully, he auditioned for Second City, or not Second City, he auditioned for Saturday Night Live. He did not make it as a cast member, but he was hired as a writer. And within a year of being at Saturday Night Live, he became head writer. He became head writer, I think it was in 1996. He became head writer. He was like 27, 28 years old. So he's this young dude who is now head writer at SNL, and he was doing great work. Like really funny, really weird stuff. He didn't make it on as a cast member, although he did have a recurring character. He played Keith, the annoying audience member who would always ask hosts really stupid questions, and he was fucking hilarious as that. And the stuff that he wrote for SNL were great. He hooked up creatively with Will Ferrell. They became partners. On the show, they wrote some incredible and hilarious and really weird and surreal sketches together, like Bill Brasky. That was a McKay and Ferrell creation. There's an unbelievably hilarious sketch where Will Ferrell plays like this absent-minded doctor who misplaced Molly Shannon and Chris Parnell's baby. That was McKay and Ferrell. So the McKay-Ferrell stuff was always like a 12:50 sketch, usually. It came at the end of the show, and it was always very weird and just kind of like, what the fuck? Who are these guys? And they started this great partnership. They started Funny or Die together, which was one of the very first places where viral videos really hit. They had one of the first big viral video successes ever was this thing called The Landlord, where Adam McKay's like toddler daughter played Will Ferrell's landlord and demanded money from him. So all the stuff that he did with Second City was terrific, and forming Upright Citizen Brigade. Adam McKay was this comic force, and I knew of him. I met him a couple of times, met him a few times. I was running in the same circles as Adam McKay in the early and mid '90s. I had gone to Second City. I did Training Center. I improvised a bunch of times at Improv Olympic. I studied under Del Close, Marty DeMatt, all the guys that Adam worked with, all the people that he hung out with. We were all in the same circles. He was doing stuff at Second City, and my group was with the Factory Theater, and the Factory Theater was formed by a whole bunch of people who went to Second City, who trained with Del Close, who did the Training Center and all that stuff. We didn't make it to the main stage or anything like that. Few people went to Tourco, few people worked on ECT, but we were all in the same circles, drinking in the same bars and knowing the same people. So I knew Adam McKay. I met him a few times, never worked with him, knew a bunch of people that he worked with, knew of the work that he was doing, and they knew of the work that we were doing. It was at a time when everybody was kind of working together, and again, Factory Theater was where I was working, and we were all, the founding members of the Factory Theater were all ex-Second City people, and ex-students with IO and with all that stuff. So we all knew the same circles and all that stuff. And he was a hotshot, and he was deservedly so. Adam McKay was fucking hilarious and weird, and when he made it to Saturday Night Live, when he became head writer, we were all like, good for fucking Adam McKay. Awesome. And he did great work on SNL, hooking up with Will Ferrell. They did Funny or Die. Then they formed Gary Sanchez Productions, and they started doing movies together. They started with Anchorman, which, of course, is now legendary. It wasn't when it first came out, but it's hilarious. They did Talladega Nights, which is a fucking hilarious movie, a great movie. Step Brothers with him and John C. Reilly, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, another Adam McKay directed movie. And then they did The Other Guys, which I still think is the funniest Will Ferrell movie. And Anchorman 2. And for that stretch of time, Adam McKay was this really creative and weird and funny writer-director of these great, weird Will Ferrell movies that had the same sensibility that the weird shit that they wrote on SNL was. Only they were doing it on the big screen. And then now he's not that anymore. Something shifted. The Other Guys, which is a movie that I absolutely love. It's my favorite Will Ferrell movie. I think it's hilarious. The end credits of The Other Guys, and the bad guys, the villains in The Other Guys, which is the Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg cop satire parody. The bad guys in that movie are corporate hotshots, are big CEOs, big companies that are ripping off the little guy, that kind of thing. They're the corporate corruption was the background for the bad guys in the other Guys. They were the villains. And at the end of the movie, during the final credits, Adam McKay showed all of these facts about what a Ponzi scheme is, explaining how you're getting fucked over as a middle-class American by the big corporations and by the big Wall Street honchos and stuff. And he threw all that stuff in, and it was fine. It was at the end of the movie, and I was kind of looking at it, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm not sure what this has to do with the rest of the movie, but thank you for the little lesson there, I guess. I don't know. And that was the first sign that Adam McKay was going to have the persona that he has now. The Big Short comes out in 2015. And this was the first time that Adam McKay sort of dropped what I thought made him great, which was the originality, the sheer surreal weirdness of what he wrote, and the fact that it was just balls out, unapologetically ridiculous and fucking funny. And then he started to take himself a little bit too seriously. And this is where it starts, in The Big Short. The Big Short was this film about the 2008 financial and economic crash, the housing crash, all of the stuff that happened to America and its financial world in 2008. That's what the movie's about, based on a book. And he got an incredible cast, including Steve Carell. Obviously, he's worked with Steve Carell a bunch of times before. But you got Brad Pitt, Ryan Gosling, and just an unbelievable cast all the way around. And that's what the movie was about. And there's a point in the movie. There are parts in the movie where he, tells the audience that they want to explain to the audience what's happening in this financial world, which is very confusing. Not a lot of people follow Wall Street. People don't know about the housing situation. They don't know, what really happened. So, in a clever way, at least Adam McKay thought it was clever, he got Margot Robbie to appear like naked or half naked in a bubble bath to explain part of, the intricate dealings behind, the money situation. Anthony Bourdain showed up, and he, explained to people, in a way that they would understand. And Selena Gomez showed up to, show the teenagers out there, the people that like her, to explain to them this whole 2008 money situation. And on paper, it seems like an okay idea, but it came off really snobbish. It came off like, okay, here you're an idiot, and you're an idiot, and here you're an idiot guy who thinks that Margot Robbie is hot. So here's Margot Robbie, because this is the only thing you'll understand. Here's Margot Robbie explaining the financial situation to you. And because you're a horny, brain-dead guy, once you see Margot Robbie, suddenly you'll pay attention. And maybe you're somebody who watches a lot of cable and you're kind of obsessed with television and you like cooking shows. Well, here's Anthony Bourdain. You're a moron, so here's Anthony Bourdain to teach you something. Oh, and you're a teenager. You're obviously an idiot. Here's Selena Gomez to teach you about the 2008 financial crisis. So it came off really smug. It came off as very condescending. But the thing is, the reason why I gave it a pass, and it bothered the fuck out of me when I was watching the movie, I was like, who the fuck do you think you are, Adam McKay? like, oh, here, in order for you to understand this movie, we have to stop this comedy, this black comedy about this situation, and we have to explain it to you because you're an idiot. And so in order for us to continue with the movie, here's, Margot Robbie to explain it to you. And I was like, fuck, what, and I thought it was incredibly snobbish and really condescending. And, Adam McKay viewing his audience that he's, his audiences are a bunch of idiots, so he's got to have this to help them explain. Now, here's the reason why it didn't completely piss me off. It rubbed me the wrong way, and it certainly affected how the big portions of that movie that I absolutely disliked. But I was like, okay, you know what? I don't understand what happened in 2008. I do not. I don't follow the housing, crisis. I don't follow Wall Street. I'm not Captain Investment. I don't know what brokers do, and I don't know what hedge funds do, and I don't know what Ponzi schemes do and all that shit. I didn't understand it, so I was like, okay, well, all right. I mean, you're being a condescending prick, Adam McKay, by doing this, with the Margot Robbie and Selena Gomez and stuff. But you know what? I don't understand it. So okay, maybe this will help. It didn't. It just pissed me off. So I could understand that. I was like, okay, I'll defend that. It pissed me off. It's condescending, but I kind of understand it because nobody really understands the financial situation. Nobody really understood what happened in 2008. I didn't understand it, even after I saw The Big Short. So it wasn't like it really accomplished anything. So I gave him a pass on that. Then Vice comes out. Vice is the movie that he made about Dick Cheney, with Christian Bale as Dick Cheney and Sam Rockwell as Bush. And he did the same thing, only worse. But he didn't hire anybody, to do that. But he did stop and do voiceovers, and it was even more fucking condescending than what he did in The Big Short. Like treating his audience like they're a bunch of idiots, like we're idiots. Like Adam McKay is like this self-appointed messiah, like this self-appointed spokesman and leader who will bless us with his knowledge on the subjects of which he makes. And he did that with Vice, to the point where it was like, you fucking condescending bastard. I'm not stupid. And the thing is, I know about Cheney. I know about what happened, during what happened during that administration. I know about Bush. I know what went down. I know what he would, I know what he was trying to say in that movie. And so for him as a filmmaker, as Adam McKay, to like completely treat his audience like they're fucking stupid, like they're morons. I'm not stupid, Adam McKay. I'm not an idiot. And when I was watching Vice, every 5 minutes, I just kept getting more pissed off because I'm like, you know what, man? I'm not a fucking idiot. You're treating your audience like an idiot, Adam McKay. Adam McKay thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. And I got news for Adam McKay. He's not the fucking smartest guy in the room. There are people who are as smart as you, and you know what? A lot smarter than you, and a lot of those people watch your fucking movies. And I'm one of them. I watched Vice, and I wanted to fucking put my foot through the TV when I saw it. I watched it on a screener. I almost put my foot through the TV watching it. I was like, you condescending bastard. I couldn't get through it the first time. I had to watch it in 3 separate times because I would turn it off because I was so pissed. It's like, just so condescending and so much contempt for your audience. That it just pissed me off, and there was no excuse for it. In The Big Short, there was an excuse because the 2008 financial situation is very confusing to most people, to the majority of people in the world. So I was like, okay, I'll give you a pass on that for being a condescending prick. But you get no pass when you made Vice. No. And so now here's Don't Look Up, which is more of the same condescending bullshit. I don't know who he's making this movie for, and he, again, incredibly condescending, nothing but contempt for his audience, thinks his audience is the stupidest bunch of people in the world. The movie is about a couple of scientists who discover that there's a meteor or asteroid that's going to come down and it's going to wipe out Earth, and it's about how nobody wants to deal with it. The government doesn't want to deal with it. When money becomes, and electronics become part of it, the situation changes. And then it also becomes about how people are more concerned about the way they look on social media and the way they look on television and all this other stuff. So he takes on basically what's going on in the world right now. And it's an allegory for, you could even say COVID, but mostly about climate change and global warming and climate change deniers and that kind of stuff. And that's the allegory for which he made this movie. It's not good satire. It's not a good satire. It's fucking not. Everything is obvious. The jokes are ham-fisted. They're repeated 9,000 times. Like, his point is hammered home constantly, over and over again, as if, again, the audience is, the people watching the movie are fucking morons. It's like Adam McKay is like, well, look, the people that are watching this movie are complete idiots. I'm going to treat them as such. I'm going to hammer home all of my points, which are simplistic in the first place and not nearly as brilliant as I think they are. And I'm going to do it, and I'm lucky because I have a cast that everybody loves, because I've loaded this movie up with stars that people like, box office bonanza. And I've got all these people in there, and it's an allegory for a cause that, like, Leo DiCaprio is feels very attached to. So I can get him, and I can get Meryl Streep, and people who are conscious, socially conscious in terms of Hollywood, get them in to hammer home what is a simplistic, stupid message, and I'll fool people into thinking that this is really brilliant satire when it isn't. It's not. People who say that this movie is the new Dr. Strangelove, you're wrong. You're drunk. There's fucking something wrong with you. Don't Look Up should not even be mentioned in the same sentence as Dr. Strangelove. Dr. Strangelove is a biting, brilliant, smart, non-condescending black comedy satire. It does not talk down to its audience. It doesn't treat its audience like idiots, like Adam McKay does. And also, people are comparing this and saying that it's as good or better than Idiocracy. It's not even in the same ballpark as Idiocracy. Adam McKay couldn't hold Mike Judge's jock at all. First of all, Mike Judge has respect for the intelligence of his audience, does not treat his audience as if they are stupid. And Mike Judge, let me put it to you this way. A 5-minute episode of Beavis and Butthead is more satirical and more brilliant than anything in Don't Look Up. Watching Don't Look Up is like going to a party. You're at this party and suddenly you find yourself stuck in the corner of this party, and the guy next to you is a blowhard, pretentious, condescending jagoff who does not stop talking for 2.5 hours about the same shit over and over again. He's the guy at the party who will not shut up, who's a blowhard, who thinks he's absolutely hilarious, and worst of all, he's the guy who thinks he's teaching you something with his blowhard comedy for 2 hours. So watching the movie, I felt like I was stuck in the corner at a party with some jagoff who I just wanted to shut up. I just want to shut up and leave the party. That's what it's like. Watching Don't Look Up is like, really, you're trapped at a party and this guy will not shut up, and everything he's saying is obvious and not funny and not as brilliant as he thinks he is. It's like being stuck at a party with a blowhard jagoff. That's what it's like. So, I'm hugely disappointed in what Adam McKay, I think, has changed into as an artist. I like silly Adam McKay. I like goofy. I like surreal. I like weird. I like fucking hilarious Adam McKay. Back on main stage at Second City in Pinata Full of Bees, on SNL doing weird shit with Will Ferrell, being Keith in the audience of Saturday Night Live, of the stuff that he did at Saturday Night Live with Will Ferrell. The Will Ferrell movies are great. I still think The Other Guys is fantastic. Step Brothers, unapologetically goofy and funny. Anchorman, one of the stupidest, silliest movies ever made, and hilarious. And Talladega Nights, ridiculous and so goofy and so weird and so funny. So I don't know. And then now suddenly he gets himself an Oscar, and now he's the spokesman for everything. He is Captain Intellectual Satirist who will teach us all a good lesson. And here's the other thing. I'm not sure who he thinks his audience is, but people who agree with him politically, or people who I have the same sort of ideology as him, don't need these lessons. If you're making a movie for like a climate change denier, or for someone who who leans towards the right, they're not going to watch your movie. I got news for you, pal. You don't have to teach a lesson to the people who are your audience, because your audience, if you like Leonardo DiCaprio, if you think climate change is a real thing and you support funding for it and changes must be made, if you lean to the left, you've already got that audience. They're already with you. They're going to watch your movie. You don't have to treat them like dipshits. You don't have to try and teach them something. And let me tell you something. The audience that you're trying to reach, I guess, are people who are, denying climate change and, lean to the right. They're not going to watch your movie, dude. They're not going to watch your fucking movie. They don't care. So, but I'm just really, because I used to love Adam McKay. I used to love him. And now these three movies, The Big Short, Vice, and I will say this much about Don't Look Up. It's not as big a piece of shit as Vice. It's not as aggravating and awful as Vice. It's terrible, but it didn't make me want to kill somebody like after I saw Vice. But this is the path he's continuing on. He executive produces Succession, which is a show I love, and he directed the pilot. He's doing stuff here and there that he throws his name on that I like. He's got this mini series on HBO about the Lakers, which I find interesting. We'll see how that works out, unless he's going to teach us some sort of valuable lesson, because I'm Adam McKay and I'm smarter than you and you will learn something because you're dumb. If he keeps that attitude back, then fine. But I'm just wildly disappointed by these three movies and completely baffled by people's love of them. I don't get it. I just don't get it. So anyway, I hated Don't Look Up. I've hated the last three movies that Adam McKay has done. He's a guy that I still respect for all the great accomplishments that he's done in comedy, with The Second City and with SNL and with the Will Ferrell movies. But the stuff he's doing now, no. So anyway, I wasn't gonna post a video about Don't Look Up, but I feel I had to, because I couldn't scroll or look around on social media without people being very divisive and hating it or loving it. But the weird thing is, so many of the people that I share opinions with, it's just so weird. It's very strange. But anyway, that's my thought on it, and I'm now not a fan of Adam McKay, and that makes me sad. So anyway, all right, hey, enjoy the veal, and Don't Look Up sucks.